was walking the other day, like she goes on a walk up there, and she's like, and I was listening to Pressure, and there's so many good songs on here, and I was like, thank you, mom. Like,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
my parents riff really hard. I love them. They're awesome.
This podcast is about you, your journey in music, and kind of the origin story of Wage War, if that's cool with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And you have a new record out tomorrow, so we can talk about that as well.
Yeah, it's like Christmas Eve right now for me.
Pretty exciting, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, it's all of the things. It's exciting, it's nerve-wracking, it's, just I feel like it's like all of the emotions at the same time. So it's exciting though, for sure.
That's cool. Well, you guys just got off a tour, right? Your first tour in I would imagine a couple of years.
Yeah, we got home Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah, I left my house July 31st and came back September 26th. So
Oh my gosh, that's a great tour though. Beartooth.
yeah, it was incredible. Beartooth and Dragged Under. We had literally the best time. So it was awesome.
Were you able to kind of, showcase some of these new songs as well?
Yeah, we did. So we had one song out before the tour started, and then played another new one that wasn't out yet until another new one came out, and then started playing High Horse and that new one, which was Circle the Drain. And then the other one that we were playing at the beginning of the tour came out in the middle of the tour. So we started playing all three new songs. So
that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this is like our shot to get out there and, pump the songs before the record comes out. Normally in an ideal scenario, you put out a record on a headliner and so on and so forth. But yeah, we just made the most of the opportunity that we had, and I'm glad we did.
That's cool. That is awesome. So first off, talk to me about where were you born and raised?
I was born in Leesburg, Florida. I lived there until like fourth grade, which would have been, I don't even know. But then my parents moved to Georgia. Lived in Georgia for 2 years until sixth grade, I think, and then came back to the exact same town that I left, Leesburg, Florida.
Okay.
And then when I started high school, we moved just about an hour north to a town called Ocala, Florida, which is where Wage War is based out of.
Right on. What was it like your parents' job that kind of moved you back and forth there in the beginning?
Yeah, so my dad used to be a tour manager, bass player in the CCM world, the Christian music world. So he did that a lot while I was growing up. And then I think when he finally decided to come off the road, he went and worked for a company called World Vision, which is a child sponsorship program. And then when we came back, he worked for my mom's dad's company. We have like a family company called Baird Homes that's in Leesburg, and then now both of my parents are on staff at a church in Ocala. So
that's
kind of kind of moving with the rents jobs for sure.
Yeah, wow. So I would imagine that your dad's kind of a big supporter, a big influence on you as far as like music goes.
Both of my parents are incredible musicians. My mom is like a world-class professional singer. My dad is bass player, front of house guy. Like he's kind of always been, like the dude. So I have amazing parents, and they've always been extremely supportive, even when it wasn't the popular thing, especially given our style of music and stuff. It's like they've never have once batted an eye at me chasing after this or supporting, or I mean, even at times like fronting finances. Like my dad bought us the Wage War, our first in-ear rig.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a G2, Sennheiser G2, which is like 20 years old at this point, but I mean, it literally helped us become a better band. So, and that was like, 5 or 6 years ago. So yeah, my parents have been awesome.
That's so cool, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have the opposite experience with, growing up in a Christian music household when you as heavy as you guys are.
Yeah. No,
I'm being like, this is not happening.
No, they're at every home show. They're in the merch. They're my mom. I just talked to my mom the other day. They're on vacation right now, and she was talking to me about our last record, and she was like, "I just wanted you to know, like I was walking the other day, like she goes on a walk up there, and she's like, and I was listening to Pressure, and there's so many good songs on here, and I was like, thank you, mom. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah, my parents riff really hard. I love them. They're awesome.
That is so cool. So what was the first instrument you learned? Bass? Was it bass?
No, it was guitar. Well, no,
Oh,
actually, piano.
piano.
It was kind of an unsung rule in my house. It's like if you're gonna do anything music, you got to start with piano because it's kind of like the foundation of everything. With reading music, which I do very little of now, but learning scales and notes and understanding chords and things like that. So I took about 3 years of piano. Hated every moment of it.
Of course.
Yeah, and then
But how grateful are you for it now?
I'm very grateful, and I honestly am like one of my things I wanted to do over the pandemic was get better at piano, and then I just forgot to do it. So I wish I would have taken it more seriously back in the day, but
You got a record out of it though.
I did, yeah, absolutely.
Oh.
So I started with piano, and then when I was 11, I was begging my parents for an electric guitar. I was like, I have to do it, but at that time in my life, I was like the kid that couldn't stick with anything. Like I was like, this is cool for like a week and then just put it down. So they're like, they just kind of waited to see where I was at. And like guitar is literally the first thing that I could not put down.
That's
So
cool.
11 and then now I'm 28. So I haven't stopped yet.
Wow. Did you go to your dad's shows growing up?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. We did we would go to quite a few of the shows, like whenever he was close in town. And that's kind of where I got the first like tour bug of just like seeing like, lots of people. And then, you got your backstage laminates and how cool it feels to like go backstage. And like,
Sure.
I feel like that's where I got like the love and the magic for, just being at shows and like that live energy. I mean, completely different style of music, but I feel like the concept is all the same of just like seeing a show and production. And I definitely think that was part of it for sure.
That's cool. That is cool. So at 11, you get the guitar and you can't put it down. When do you start writing songs?
I think I wrote my first song when I was 14, seventh grade. My band that was comprised of two of my best friends still to this day. One who lives with me and is one of my roommates, and one lives 7 minutes down the road. Both moved here from Florida so that we could all still be best friends and live in the same town.
That's cool.
And another friend, and we played a talent show. It was called Fat and Heavy.
The
PHAT.
talent show was called Fat and Heavy?
Yeah, PHAT though, because it was like a mix of rock and rap.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And so I wrote 2 songs. One was called 4 Words, and one was called Our Call. And I had, at the time, my dad bought me an Inbox 2, which is what came with Pro Tools 7.4, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I knew how to press record. So I had an SM58. I had my guitar with a little like zoom pedal. And I had a little electronic drum kit because my brother's a drummer. And I would just kind of demo out these songs, just go one take through the whole thing. And so that was first go.
Wow.
First song actually.
And you play drums and everything on the song?
Yes, I'm not like a drummer, but I can get through it for sure.
You can play drums.
Yeah, I can play drums, but I'm not a drummer.
Did you ever play with your brother?
I think I did in like church back in the day.
Okay.
But we never did like band stuff together.
Is there just like an age gap or just didn't happen?
No, my brother took the sports route for a while and kind of
Okay.
lost interest in music, and then I was like never the sports route. And so I just kind of never happened like that. But like when we were kids, I think we probably played in church a couple times together.
All right. On. So you had this first band through middle school. Wage War was, you guys were all in high school together, right? Or a lot of you? Or no?
No, actually none of us went to high school together.
Oh,
So
I'm confused then.
you're all good. So my first band was called My Shadow's Reflection, which is the craziest name of all time because it doesn't make any sense.
That's actually a pretty solid name.
Yeah, well, I mean,
My shadows. It's a thinker.
Yeah.
Like, huh? Okay.
So at the time, I'll just kind of give you the little rundown.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Started with My Child's Reflection. It was me, like I said, two of my best friends. And then another guy named Jordan. And then we decided to we changed our name to Scars for Stories, which I think my mom came up with. And mom
Really?
and,
That's cool.
and funny enough, my mom also came up with Wage War, so it's pretty crazy.
Did she really?
My mom needs to start handing out band names for Cold Hard Cash.
She should. Wow.
We decided at the time, at that time, I was really into like being a lead singer of the band in like the My Child's Reflection days. So it was me on guitar and vocals, my friend Hunter on guitar, Austin on drums, and then Jordan on bass. And then so I was like into being a lead singer for a little bit. Like I was really like into Metallica and like Bullet for My Valentine, Megadeth, like bands that had the guitar player lead singer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I kind of like changed my tune and I was like, well, I kind of just want to be like the backup singer that does like the choruses and stuff. So then Hunter moved to vocals. And then Seth Blake, who is currently in Wage War, we
Mm-hmm.
found him and added him to the lineup. So we played like that for about maybe a year and a half or so. And then just, life decisions and stuff. We ended up breaking up, and then Seth and I decided we wanted to start another band. We had it's us and him. Jordan from My Child's Reflection came with us, and then we found Briton because Briton was in another local band called I think we called like Among the Fallen or something. Another great band name. And then we had a different. So Briton came to vocals, and then my buddy David Rao, who is from or was from Orlando at the time, and just moved to Ocala, joined the band. So that was Empires, and that is what we call the first incarnation of Wage War.
Okay.
And that was 2010. We ended up going through one other band name. So we went from Empires to War Within, and then War Within to Wage War. And the reason that we kept the WW is because we played a show with A Day to Remember that we had spent $500 on scrims that had two W's on them. And literally the day after the show, we found out we had to change our name. So we were like, well, I can't waste this $500. Let's make it a lasting decision based off this. And so that's where Wage War came about. And right about that time, we had member changes from Stephen took over drums, and then Chris took over bass. And that's 2013, the Wage War that we know today.
Wow. So you guys, had an opportunity to open up for A Day to Remember, and
yeah, we had
after the show, you found out there was another band called that, or get a cease and desist or something.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, pretty much exactly that. So Empires is like already established band from Chicago. Like they, kind of like the unsung rule that I understand is like if you take the band name out of state, it's yours essentially. So they had done some extensive amount of touring, which we hadn't. So we're like,
I haven't heard that. I like that though. It makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that holds up in like court of law, but I think that's kind of like
the court of rock. It holds up.
Rock, yeah. And then the War Within band was literally like a bar band from Nashville, and I was like, dude, come on, you're not going to use this name, like, you know what I mean? Like, let us have it, and they wouldn't do it. So
were they like, you could pay us? Did they pull one of those
No,
moves?
not even.
Oh, not even. Just
I was like,
we want it.
Yeah, they were literally just like, stop using our name. It was just like, and the thing is that they had trademarked their name.
Oh.
So there was truly nothing we could do about it. It wasn't even like, we'll just see what happens. It's like they had it trademarked and LLC'd and everything that you need to do to make sure that people don't
take it.
Yeah. So.
Okay. How did you get that show at the Day to Remember?
So what is this is a long-winded story as well. So I think so. A Day to Remember is from Ocala, which is our hometown. And I think someone had tipped off Josh, the bass player, about our band. Like, hey, like there's this upcoming like cool like metalcore band. You should check them out. And like kind of just being from the same town, we ended up all having a lot of the same friends, even though they're, a couple years older than us.
Mhm.
We knew a lot of the same people. So I think Josh had reached out to me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, like, um, just heard like we had put out an EP." And he's like, "Hey, I just heard your EP and like this rips. Like, would love to like meet up and talk." And I was like, holy, and then that's cool for me. Like, Data Remember fan, like,
Mhm.
and so I was like, yeah, for sure. And so essentially, he started kind of getting into the management side of things. And he became kind of a co-manager of our band for a while. And yeah, I mean, we would just like it, it sounds sketchy, but like we would like meet up in like McDonald's parking lots, and I would like give him DVDs of like our last three shows that someone's dad had took on like a camcorder. All the demos that I was making at home, I'd give to him, and um, yeah, so it kind of started there, and then trying to think of what that was 2012, and then yeah, it just kind of grew from there, and then I ended up working on. Well, yeah, I mean that's the gist of it.
Mhm.
So
And okay, and then you guys would you put the EP out after that or
um,
before?
that was before,
Okay.
I think.
So you had the EP out, you played the show the day to remember, you should have to change your name.
Yeah,
And then a few years later you signed to Fearless Records.
correct. Yeah, so
Wow, that must have been a huge moment.
it was crazy, man. We had this. This is like a really really crazy story. So we had been talking. This is 2014 at this point, so 2013 or 10, like we were basically at the point where I think we were all like in like 21, 22,
Mhm.
and we were kind of all nearing this point of just like, all right, this needs to work or we need to go to school and become adults. And so we had set the date for May 1st of 2014, and we were just like, all right, if nothing, because we had been like not kicking tires, but just like there'd been a lot of talk about things that were going on that like never went on. So it was just like a lot of like email chains back and forth of like so and so is interested. And we're just like, all right, cool. Like, what do they need? And like, just send us all your demos. So I'm like, pulling late nights, like trying to make my terrible demos sound at least half decent. And
Mhm.
then never hearing anything back from her, just like, all right, it's over. You know what I mean? And all of our friends are in nursing school or, taking the bar or, I don't know, like
Doing adult
doing
stuff.
doing adult stuff, having kids. So we're just like, all right, well, let's see. And I literally kid you not, May 1st, we got our first offer. Uh so it was crazy, man.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, coincidence, luck, God, wherever people stand on that. It was crazy, man. So
That is so rad.
yeah.
And once you get that deal, I mean, Fearless Records is so cool and so huge, and I'm sure you're a fan of a lot of the bands on the label.
Yeah. So at the time, we we were kind of one of the heavier bands that they were starting to push the heavy agenda. I
Mhm.
think they signed us in the same wave as like August Burns Red. I think Volumes was in there. I think the Word Alive was already on there, and Bless the Fall maybe were like their heavy bands at the time, but they really started developing that. And so it was like us, August Burns Red, Motionless in White. Um, I don't really remember all the rest of the bands off the top of my head, but they really went for like a heavy push.
Yeah, because
Um,
they were putting out like pop punk bands and like more of
yeah,
that genre and the pop goes whatever metal,
yeah,
all those type
yeah.
of
And then
records.
obviously Plain White Tees is like the big one that everyone knows Fearless
Sugar
for.
Cult was on them or on that
Yeah.
label. Yeah.
So it was awesome, man. And yeah, we ended up working out a really good deal with them. And it was crazy, man. And the insane part to me is realizing that getting signed is not the end goal. It's literally the beginning of a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
growing up, you're just like, oh, they got signed. Like you're gonna get signed. Like that's
Yeah.
it. And then
Yeah. You're signed,
yeah,
buy the houses and yeah,
yeah, and it's
call up
just
the
like
groupies.
yeah, exactly. And then you realize that it's like, oh no, it's time to get in a van and still play for $100 a night and sleep in Walmart parking lots and try to just cut your teeth on, whatever, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. The Anthony from the band Bayside told me when I interviewed him, he said he's like, yeah, you think exactly what you said. You know, you get signed, you think like people just assume like, oh, now you know you made it. But he's like, now he's like, you basically moved from the kids table at Thanksgiving to now you're sitting at the adult table, and they're like, okay, and then it's like, now what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like
you also
you've
just enter a bunch of debt too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's really not all it's cracked up to be.
well, that's huge though. I mean, did they put you on the road right away?
Yeah, so we signed 2014 October, started Blueprints, our first record, in November of 2014, finished it. We had 2.5 weeks to do the whole record, which is insane. And then we sat on it for an entire year, which sucked.
What?
Uh,
Oh, wow. Really? So the
yeah,
record was done in 2 weeks, and then you, for a year, you're just waiting to put it out?
yeah. So the first tour that we did was a back-to-back tour. So we did, they had just signed Einstein Kills, My Enemies and I, and White Noise, which is like a whole fleet of new bands.
Mm-hmm.
I think Einstein had been on Outer Loop, which is the imprint, and then they had just signed to like Fearless. So our first tour was called the Fresh Faces Tour. It was Einstein Kills, Wage War, My Enemies and I, and White Noise. The bottom two bands I don't think are bands anymore. But yeah, I mean, it was like we were playing for like 150 kids a night, which at the time was awesome. I think
That's
the
still
big,
pretty good. I mean, around the country to pull
yeah,
150 kids, a lot of bands
yeah.
still can't do that.
And it's pretty crazy now to see where like Ice Nine is and like where we are. And it's just like to think that tour was doing like 150 kids a night is wild. Um, and then I think the biggest show was like 300 kids. So that was almost all of October. We had 3 days off, and then we opened the August Burns Red tour, which was August Burns from the top down, August Burns Red, Every Time I Die, Stick to Your Guns, Polyphia, and Us. Um,
Wow.
which was crazy. And that was a big jump in venues because then you go from like, little 300 to 500 cap rooms to like 1,500 to 2,000 cap rooms. So,
Mhm.
um, yeah, so that was, and that was like October to December, like right before Christmas, like December 18th. And we didn't go home at all. So we just like were out there, and I feel like we had no idea what we were doing. We were just like, all right, well, we got the van, and let's just get to every show, and we did it, man. And it certainly wasn't without its price, but it was awesome. We were just on cloud nine the whole time.
Sure. And then the follow-up record, Deadweight, did really, really well. I mean, that charted on, the top US charts, and it was like number 2 in the hard rock charts. I mean, that's huge. What was it like to see that kind of success from that record?
It was crazy, man. Deadweight came from like a really low place in my life. And it was like I feel like Deadweight like wrote itself. It came together so fast, and I just had I'd had a really like bummer relationship thing happen, and I just feel like it just was like, but you know what I mean? Like the
Mhm.
record was done, and I feel like we knew we were working on something special when we did it, and it was just so intentional, and that was another record that we did and sat on it for a year.
Really?
Uh,
Was that another like 2-week type recording process too?
I think that one was like 4, which is still not
That's
enough,
still
but
fast,
yeah,
right?
but we still did it. And for that one, we were actually at a studio and staying there, which was fun. So yeah, and then to see like Deadweight was where we like really started taking some risks. We had a song called Gravity that was like mostly like melodic and singing.
Mhm.
And then the last song was called Johnny Cash, which is like that and Stitch are like the most obvious like bullseye songs for like the what was like going on. And they
Mhm.
were also like well, Stitch is not different. That was like, very down the middle. But to see like Johnny Cash and Gravity naturally garner more attention than the rest of the record
Mhm.
was like really, I want to say encouraging, but that's like the first time that we realized like we can do more than just play breakdowns. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's always been something we wanted to do. And I do feel like every record we have done exactly what we wanted to do and never really been like caged in by that. But Deadweight was like the record that really feels like we're starting to get identity and we really like broke through.
Hmm. I love Johnny Cash. I mean, the original song, but the strip version you guys put out on Spotify is so cool.
So and that's the next level of it is that
Yeah.
we put that out and it like blew up. Like and to this day I think it's on our top 3 on Spotify all time streamed. So now we find ourselves in this position where it's like, all right, so we can do a song like Stitch that's just, absolutely insane and people
Uh-huh.
like it. Or we can do a stripped version of one of our songs and people also love it. So it's like all of a sudden it's like we went from here to like here of what we can
Right.
do. So that's where we're at now, is just seeing how far we can go.
That's cool. You put out Pressure at the end of 2019,
Yeah.
and obviously we know the world shuts down
Yeah.
mere months later. Were you on tour for that record when that happened, or where were you guys at?
Yeah. So we got 3 tours into Pressure. We put it out August 30th, I think, of
Hmm.
2019. We did our an A market headliner in October, November. Came home. That was a very successful tour for us. Biggest headliner we've done to date, like just on cloud nine. And then we went to Europe in January, did a headliner over there, and then came home and then did a support tour in Australia in February. And we got home March 1st, and I think the world shut down the next week. So
Oh, wow. So you made it back. That's crazy. Like
yeah,
you just under the gun, so to speak.
yeah, I remember being in Europe and like seeing like all of it unfold, and then like we would get to France, or I remember getting to France and seeing that there was, like, confirmed case of COVID in Paris or whatever, and we were like in Paris, and I was like, uh-oh. So that's when
Mhm.
it started to get unnerving, and then I could tell things were really heating up when we were in Australia, and then we got back home, and well, here we are.
Yeah, I mean, being in Europe and outside of the US, I think here we have this mentality of like, oh, that's just something that happens elsewhere. That would never kind of happen here.
Yeah,
And then when it started getting bad, I mean, it was so bizarre to see everything kind of stopping and people going like, yeah, we need to stay inside. Like this isn't like something that's going to go away. But I'm sure you're seeing it even earlier on than anyone else, being in totally different countries.
yeah, dude, it was wild, man, and yeah, here we are. You know.
Yeah. So you get back, obviously, and we're isolated from that point on. Real quick on the MySpace thing. So what happened with that? You were just a part of all those accounts that got lost?
Uh, what do you mean?
Like I read something on your Wikipedia that like you lost all your records or something, or like you lost a bunch of files, or am I
I
confused? Or you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about?
I don't. I mean, I think I know what you're talking about, but I don't think I lost anything.
Oh,
I mean, the, I don't think I can go back and find like the music. I don't know if the music player still works on our old band pages, but
oh,
I don't,
okay.
I don't think we lost anything. But
I just on your Wikipedia it says that you were one of the bands that you lost all your content on like a server migration gone wrong. But it's like, when was the last time you probably logged in your MySpace account?
yeah, dude, that just goes to show the power of Wikipedia and the fact that anybody can write anything.
Oh yeah, the best, the most burned I've been off of Wikipedia is I interviewed uh, Eric Wilson of Sublime,
Mhm.
and on his Wikipedia it said he was born in like some rural town of like Alaska, and I'm like, were you born in Alaska? He's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, oh man, Wikipedia
Somebody,
got me,
yeah, someone's out to get you, man. They're just
dude.
testing
That
out
got
numbers.
burned twice now,
Yeah,
twice
that's
now with
okay.
this
I
Wikipedia.
mean, honestly, it could have happened and I just didn't know. So
Well, all that matters is like you're here to say, "Hey, no, that didn't happen." So
yeah,
we're confirming it with to everyone watching this that no, you're not. Anyway, it doesn't even matter because
yeah,
MySpace is so dead that yeah, whatever. So you're home. Let's get back to this. So you're home for the pandemic. Is that like what do you guys do right away? Is it just like, okay, what do we do now? Obviously, you started working on this new record at some point.
yeah. Like I want to be honest, and this sounds like ungrateful, but like I was super happy to be home for a little bit. Uh,
Yeah, I
I think
bet.
we were really at a point of burnout at the time. So being home, and obviously everyone's just like, oh, just stay inside for 2 weeks, we'll flatten the curve and it'll go away. So you're just like, all right, cool, well, we'll be fine. And then all of a sudden, tours start shutting down, and then it's just like, oh, this doesn't look good. And then, we had a bunch of festivals for the next for summer that were all falling. So it was kind of time to start like figuring out what the everyone's next step is. And obviously the record is number one. Um, and it bums me out because I feel like there's a lot of good songs on Pressure that will never get the attention that they deserve. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But it's also my fault because I was like, all right, we gotta put out new music. Here we go. Ah. So like my whole thing, like during the pandemic, was like, well, we can't tour. So what did we do second best? It's like, well, we'd like to put out music. So yeah, I just started cranking on music and trying to like get it out ASAP. And there's ended up being roadblocks and people telling me I can't. So we didn't. But
So, did you like tell me about putting the record together? Was it something you started working on pretty quickly, or did you need some time to kind of,
no, I
decompress
think
from
I was
tour? And
I think I was pretty much ready. I just kind of got home, and I feel like when you go on tour, you always come back inspired. I got home from this tour that we just did the first day, just sat down, plugged in and wrote an entire song just because I was so inspired. So I
wow,
feel like it was kind of like that kind of thing. Um, you just played a bunch of songs live. You're seeing what works, the tempos, the riffs, the style of songs, whatever it might be. So like, I had a pretty good idea of like where the record was already headed. And then I think we did Pressure in February, March of 2019. So it'd been about a year since I had to work on any music. So I was already ready and already excited. And then just kind of started putting songs together. And, um, during the pandemic, we rented an Airbnb cabin in Chattanooga area, Tennessee,
mm-hmm.
and got together. And I brought all my home studio stuff, and um, we started throwing down vocals on everything, and ended up having like 3 or 4 songs come out of that, like done. Um,
Wow. Did you record the record yourself?
no,
Oh,
but I demoed a good amount of it, and then I did end up doing a lot of production and guitar tracking for the record. But now we did half the record with Drew Falk, who did all the Pressure, and then the other half with Jeremy and Wade, who did Deadweight and Blueprints.
oh, cool. Kind of
So
a
it's kind of
split
like a
from the
half.
two. Yeah.
Yeah, we just wanted to like maximize the strengths of both. It's like, well, these things happened really well with Drew, so let's go to Drew for these songs, and these songs happen really well for Andrew and Jeremy, so let's go back to them. And I think it really helped glue the record together and make it pretty diverse, honestly.
Cool. Like it comes out tomorrow. That's huge.
Yeah, it's out in Australia right now. So unfortunately, I'm a comment reader, so my entire next week is probably just wasted online. So
Is that hard to do? I mean, is
it's awful. I wish I didn't do it. Uh, it's the worst, dude, because I can read 100 comments of people saying how much they love it, and then there's the one kid that says something really stupid, and then I'm just so mad. And
Dude,
it's
I'm the
just
same way. I'm the same
yeah,
way with like reviews on like or interviews I've done. Like I'll have a bunch of great comments, a bunch of likes, and then some one person will say something and it like wrecks my day. I'm like, damn, like do I suck? Like what's going you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like
And
it's
then
so weird how that is.
most of the time it's like not even an intelligent like insult. Like it's not even like I don't know. You gotta be a special kind of person to just like get online and just tear people down.
Yeah, you
But
really do. Like what benefit are you like coming
yeah,
out and telling you a horrible like something mean about something that you put your whole heart and soul into? Like what is the point of that? It makes absolutely no sense to me.
yeah, and then the next level of that is like you would literally never say that to my face.
Right.
Like if
Exactly.
I ran into you at like Panera Bread or something, you would not come up to me and be like, "This record sucks, dude." Like you would like, or like your band fell off. You were better when you were heavier, or all that
No,
stuff.
they'd come up to you and ask you for a picture and an autograph. Dude, could you take a picture with me for my Instagram? Like, you know that would happen. Like, give me a break.
I've started getting a little snarky. I know, like, the thing for our band is like we just never give it any attention. Like I never respond to it. I never do anything. It's like I would rather put my focus on the people that like, write the paragraph about how much they love the band and like
Right.
let's help them through. It's like that's way cooler to me than like responding to that than like some kid that has a hot take on a song or something. But on Twitter, like I'll find kids that will like, say something about like how they don't like our band, and then I'll like the tweet, and then they'll either delete it or tweet me back and be like, just want to say, bro, love the band. Just like, what's going on, dude?
That's funny. That is funny. Because
Yeah.
they're probably like, oh, he actually saw this? Like, now I feel really dumb.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like you would never say that to somebody's face. It's like, you don't like walk up to people and like, I don't know. It's just, and it's the art. So it's like, it's objective to everybody. And
Right.
I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, I don't care that much. But I do like I like the rush of seeing people like it. But I hate the low, like, I immediately just like tear people apart in my head and just like, oh, you stupid little, you know what I mean? But
Sure, dude.
yeah, I would never respond to that. And everyone's open to their own opinion, but
Right.
it just sucks, man. Like to think that there are just people on the world that are just like, you know what? I'm gonna,
I'm gonna ruin this guy's day. Like, okay,
yeah,
like what? Yeah,
it's like thinking like this song was written for me and I don't like it and I need to let them know.
right.
Yeah.
No, exactly. But I love the fact that you like their tweets. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's a little. I saw someone got mad about it the other day, and like was just like, they're like, be a man or something, and I was like, or they're like, be a man, like you can't take criticism, whatever, and I was like,
You're like, I liked what you said.
It's like this isn't. First of all, it wasn't a critique; it was an insult. So
right.
it's like I don't know. I'm just having fun with it now.
That's funny. Well, Cody, man, thank you so much for chatting with me today and talking to me about,
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. This is fun, and it's not all the time that I get to see how much I actually remember about how we started. So.
I love it. Well, I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Woo, that's a hefty one. I'm trying to think of something that you probably haven't heard, and you're probably not going to get it.
It's all right.
I mean, this is super cliche, but I feel like the older that I get and the more that, the deeper we get into this whole band thing and all the business stuff, like never do it for any other reason than just the love of music and like loving what you do, because you're going to be let down if it's for money. You're going to be let down if it's for fame or whatever, because none of that stuff is ever what you think it is. But the thing that is like undying is like just the passion for like music, and whether that's the creative side or the live like touring side, like they're both insane and they're both magical, and you can make $1 million and still be just as unhappy if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So bring it back.